Hi. Hey, how's it going? It's been a minute. Been a long time since I filmed. But how are you doing? It's been an interesting month. Very up and down for a lot of reasons, but I'm obviously in a different place. I'm hanging out with family, and fortunately I can telework, and so I decided to hang out with family for now. It's been a ride. But I hope you're doing well. I've been wanting to sit down and film for a bit, but it's just like a different rhythm at home. I've just been hanging out. I've definitely been reading, but just just hanging out with family a lot more, watching a lot of Game of Thrones, and just like haven't sat down to film in quite a bit, and so this is the first chance that I'm getting a good chunk of time to actually just sit down and film and talk about books and say hi. So I wanted to go over the books that I brought with me. So some of these I already have read recently in the month of April, and I'll do a separate March wrap up and April wrap up later. So some of these I've already read, but this is going to be my TBR just for the indefinite future until I'm back in my apartment. And so yeah, I just wanted to kind of go over the books that I have with me, because these are the ones that I'm going to be choosing from. I haven't ordered any books recently other than Ferry loot. I don't have any plans to have any books come to me soon. So this is kind of the list that I have, along with access to audiobooks both on Scribd and Audible and from my library. So I definitely have a good mix of stuff to choose from, so I'm not worried about not finding something that I'm not in the mood for. These are the books I brought home with me. It's just a quick overview. These are the books I'm going to talk about, but can we just appreciate that I brought home exactly one shelf of books? Anyway. But yeah, I wanted to just talk a little bit about what I'm going to be reading in the month of May. May is going to be a mood reading month. I did the Owls in April, which again I'll talk about in a separate wrap up, but I did the Owls in April, which was a lot of fun. But May is just solely going to be mood reading, and I definitely want to keep following along with the Cosmerealong and the Along, but other than that, like literally I just want to walk up to my bookshelf after I'm finished with something and not really know what I'm going to pick, and just pick something and start reading. I haven't actually done that in a while, and I need to mood read, so I'm mood reading. So we'll see what happens for the month of May. I'll tell you what I'm currently reading as I kind of go through this list. But so here are the books that I brought with me. First I brought Wicked As You Wish by Ren Chiapeko. This is a YA fantasy that I got in Ferry loot. I believe this follows a country or a kingdom who was taken over by the Snow Queen. I believe she took this country's magic, and a lot of people died. One of the few survivors is, I think, a prince of this kingdom, and they end up in Arizona in the aftermath of this war, and they kind of give up hope that they'll ever be able to go home again and go home to a place of magic again, until they see a firebird, and I think they try to actually go back and take their land back from the Snow Queen. Anyway, so I brought this one. I've been in a heavy fantasy mood recently, and so I just needed to go to entirely different worlds. That's kind of how I'm reacting to everything, so I have a lot of fantasy. I also have some sci-fi, so I brought the second and third book in the Ketty J series. So this follows, this is the Space Pirates book. I'll do a wrap-up of the first one. I read in March, so I'll talk about the first one in a March wrap-up coming up, but I read the first one in March, and this is the second and third book in that series that follows the Ketty J, which is a ship, and it follows kind of the ragtag team that has kind of assembled there, and they just get themselves into a lot of shenanigans and kind of accidentally thrust themselves in the middle of a huge political situation, and they need to kind of figure out how to get out of it. And so I think these are just a series of tales about this crew. Maybe it follows one larger story arc. I'm not entirely sure. I will find out. But I didn't bring the dust jacket for this one, but I did bring Woven in Moonlight by Isabella Bañez. And this one follows a decoy contessa, and she needs to, or the queen is supposed to be married off to someone from another land, and so the decoy contessa goes in her place, and I'm guessing a lot of stuff happens along the way, and this is inspired by Bolivian politics and history, and I'm hoping to just have a really fun time with this one. I also have another sci-fi. I have An Anatomy of Beasts by Olivia A. Cole. As follows, a girl, I believe her name is Octavia. I read the first one a while ago, and her basically where she lives, there was a whole group of people a couple of generations back who crash landed on this planet, and they've kind of set up an area that they can live, and it's about their interactions kind of with the other groups that live on this planet, or the other species that live on this planet, and they're kind of studying this planet and trying to know more about it. And Octavia and some of her friends are have apprenticeships or internships to be scientists in this world. I think a lot of the people in this group are scientists, and they have internships to be scientists in the footsteps of their parents, and they find out that there's a lot of other things going on with the council that kind of politically runs this group of people that they didn't realize was happening, and they're trying to get to the bottom of it, and kind of deals with how they kind of relate to the other species in this world. And I think this is a duology, I'm pretty sure, and this is the second one, so I'm excited to just kind of wrap this duology up, and I think this one will be a really fun one to just kind of escape a bit. So the March Ferry loot has come, and we got Bone Crier's Moon. This is... Oh, hi Achilles. Hi sir. How are you? How are you doing, my munchkin? Hi. Go say hi. Go say hi. Hi, darling. Do it, good. Really? Okay. Bye. Anyway, so in the fairy loot for March, we got Bone Crier's Moon. This is the artwork that's on the reverse side of the dust jacket. It's absolutely stunning. It's about a group of people who have the ability to kind of ferry souls of people who have died either to heaven or to the underworld. I don't know if it's in order to have this power, or in order to keep this power, they also kind of need to sacrifice their one true love or something. And I don't know. It sounds intriguing. I'm excited. Also, it has these beautiful shimmery sprayed edges. I doubt they're going to come up well on camera, but I love this edition. I also brought 4 of the Invisible Library series books. This is the first one, and the second one, the third, fourth book. I've read the first 2 so far, and this is a fun series. I've enjoyed reading them so far. That follows Irene, who is a librarian for a very special library that's kind of outside of space and time. And she kind of, as a librarian, she'll collect texts from different alternate realities that, you know, she can connect to the library, and, you know, she'll hunt down these different texts, and there are a lot of different reasons they might try to find these texts in different worlds, and she kind of gets caught up in a bunch of happenings between different groups in a particular alternate that she needs to get a text from. And she has a new apprentice named Kai who is helping her out and who she's training. So I've had fun with this so far. This is one that I said that I was going to read in April since it was the 50th anniversary of Earth Day. Didn't get to it. Not mad about it. And that is Silent Spring by Rachel Carson. Classic environmental text that kind of helped galvanize the environmental movement. She talks a lot about chemicals and a lot of other things about how they affect not just the environment, but people and other species as well. I also brought Merchants of Doubt, which is another one I meant to get to in April and didn't, and this is by Naomi Oreskes and Eric M. Conway, and talks a lot about people who are like groups of people who kind of cast doubt on scientific evidence, from everything from smoking causing cancer to climate change to biodiversity, and it's kind of similar groups of people who are casting doubt on science for a lot of different things. And I've read about half of it some years ago back in grad school and found it absolutely fascinating, so I was wanting to continue this in April for the anniversary of Earth Day, but you know, we'll get to it. I also brought the entire Mistborn series by Brandon Sanderson, so I read The Final Empire in April. Loved it, and I'm very excited to continue with the next two. And this trilogy follows, well, the magic system in here centers around being able to ingest and use metals. And if you can ingest one kind of metal and use it for power, you are misting. And if you can use all of the different kinds of metal in this world, then you are a Mistborn. And it follows a couple of Mistborns, and it follows a Dark Lord who has basically been ruling over this land for 1,000 years, and there's kind of very little hope in the resistance, and it's about some Mistborns who kind of get a group of people together to kind of see if they can defeat the Dark Lord, and loved the first one. I also knew that I would need some comfort reads, and so I had put the third Harry Potter on my Owls list, so I definitely brought that one. I also brought the fourth one with me. I know my parents have copies of the rest of the series, but I've been annotating, and so it was definitely hard. I had to pick and choose. It was very difficult to pick and choose which books to bring back with me. I shoved as many as I could in my bag. But I did decide to go ahead and bring the fourth one with me for me to be able to annotate, and of course I can read the copies that my parents have if I'm really feeling like reading those, and then I can just, you know, annotate them the next time I read them, or read my physical copies back at my apartment. So I just went ahead and brought the third and fourth one to kind of at least get started, but I have needed some comfort reads, so those have definitely been my comfort reads. I also brought another book that I read for Owls, New Erotica for Feminists, and this is reimaginings or retellings of just everyday scenarios that happen at work, at home, just out and about in public, and it's kind of reimagining just different scenarios that take place every day, but imagining what those scenarios would look like if everyone were feminist, and it's amazing. I actually really loved this. And I also went ahead and brought Star Trek Next Generation Sins of Commission, and this one follows Worf investigating a murder that happens on the Enterprise. And I don't know, I just felt like I'm actually currently reading it. It's towards the beginning of May, and I'm actually currently reading this one. I just was really feeling it. I don't know, really feeling like Star Trek, and this has been a great escape so far. I'm a huge Next Gen fan, so I knew that this would be a really fun one to pick up. This is the only Star Trek book I have, but I really felt like I might be in the mood for it, and indeed I was at the beginning of May, so this is what I'm currently reading. And of course I want to keep up with the elderling along, so I brought Royal Assassin and Assassin's Quest by Robin Hobb. This is the second and third book in the Farseer trilogy. I read the first one in March and absolutely adored it. Was it March? Was it April? What is time? I'll need to sort that out before I actually record my wrap-ups, but I read the first one a bit ago, and I'm really excited to get into the next two, so I made sure to bring those along as well. So those are all the physical books that I brought back with me. I of course don't really know what audiobooks I'm going to be in the mood for. I'll talk about what audiobooks I read in March and April in the wrap-ups, but I don't really know what audiobooks I'm going to be in the mood for. So I've marked a bunch on Scribd and on Libby that I could be excited about coming up, so I've kind of prioritized and kind of set a list of like potential priority audiobooks that I'm at least currently excited about. So we'll see which ones I end up reading. But those are the physical books I brought back with me and will be my physical TBR until I'm back in my apartment. Yeah, that's it for this video. Let me know if you've read any of these and let me know how you're doing. Let me know what you're reading while in quarantine, or maybe you're not reading in quarantine, and that's totally fine too. It's definitely been stressful, and there definitely have been periods where I wasn't reading, and then recently I've actually been able to read, and it's been super helpful to read and kind of escape to other places. And so, you know, what are you reading during quarantine, or how are things going for you? Let me know. Be sure to subscribe for more bookish content. I am hoping that I'm back in a rhythm of filming, so we'll see how that goes, but I definitely plan on filming my March and April wrap up, some tag videos. I don't know how much I'll be vlogging at home, but we'll see about that. But yeah, as I said, be sure to subscribe for more bookish content, and I hope to have more coming up. I'll leave my Twitter and Instagram link down below, so be sure to follow me there. That's where I like to hang out and like to talk to people, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!